Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Gravity Ace Dev stream. Cheers. Cheers, slancha, salud. Yeah, thanks for asking. I just woke up. I just woke up 10 minutes ago. It's going great. I'm still waking up. Let's see. Oh boy. Oh. So I fixed a bunch of bugs. Let's see. Fixed a bunch of bugs with the multiple select thing, and actually I think the multiple select thing is done. So that was good. Good. Let me just test it again. So I can select everything now. Move it all around. I can select just two things and move them all around. I can select like these things. Let's see. Like that. Put them back. Very handy. Very handy. And I'm happy with how it turned out. And it wasn't so painful. It was maybe, I don't know, probably less than 10 hours total. Oh, God, now when I say it out loud like that, it doesn't sound so good. It's fine. It's done. Done. Until it hits the public anyway, and somebody finds some new bug that I didn't test for. So right now I've got a bug. Well, maybe not a bug, but like, watch, I'll hit play here. And you'll see the screen go to the level, and then you'll see it, the whole thing reload again, and the letterbox will appear. Right? And that's because there's a new option in here called automatic restart. Yeah, automatic restart. If I turn that off, let me kill myself here. So if I turn that off, that's not going to happen. Let me try. There we go. So now if I do it, right, it doesn't reload the whole thing. Automatic restart is a speedrun feature. If you turn it on, then if you die, it gives you a couple seconds and then it restarts the level for you. This is for people who are really chasing that S rank. Right, they're really chasing that S rank and they don't want to mess around with having to click restart every time they fail. But it has that unfortunate interaction with this, which I don't want. So it's like, I've got code. Let's see. I've got code here that if automatic restart is on, then reload the current scene. But I don't want to do that if you just hit play in the editor. which is tricky. It's tricky. Because it's possible to press play in the editor. Well, it's almost like reload. So this is what happens if you push play in the editor. It saves the level, and then it just turns the level editor off. If you play from start, then it reloads the whole level, and you play from the beginning, and it shows the letterbox. So I could put some code here that says, essentially it says, don't do an automatic restart. But then the second time, if you do die and you go through the level, then you'd want that off again, even if you did push play originally. And I don't like the idea of setting variables from here on the main script. Okay, this is the editor script. And I don't like the idea of setting variables here from here, because that'll get messy. They both toggle the level editor. So they both end up doing this code, which does this code, which does this code. I think this code happens. Let me see. Yeah. So this actually might be a good place to put it. Come on. I need to get down to here. Right. And then in main, when it gets to here, I feel like this, it has a player. It does have a player object. Could I just say, if there's a player object, then don't reload? Let's see. Okay. Okay, so that still works. That actually works. Maybe it's not as tricky as I thought it would be. Nope. back here. No, no, no! Oh, he almost flew into that bullet. Oh, I missed the 3 in the secret area. I forgot about my 3 guys up here. Alright, so if I die, it should do an automatic restart. Oh, that's a bug too. But if I don't have a player here, I can push play and it won't do the automatic restart. Will do the automatic restart. And if I'm here, and I'm already in here, it just continues. So, okay, so this works. Hey, who was that? What was that? Sorry, I'm gonna check the comments in just a second. And if I turn off, turn that off. Then it shouldn't restart. And if I do it from here, still doesn't, yeah. And if I turn off that, yeah, all right. Perfect. All right, I think that fixes it. Oh, let's see. Kill those bugs. Good evening, Chepoli? St. Chepolis? Good evening, good evening. How you doing? It's good morning here. Rotate when you enter the escape area in the direction that it leaves the level. Ah, that's interesting. Poetrill, finally catching a stream. I usually stream at random times, but I've been doing it more earlier for me. So 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is GMT -8. Around 4 p.m. GMT, something like that, or something like that. Is there a possibility for a bug with an object somehow remaining in memory or a reference remaining? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but there are bugs that can be caused by trying to access a reference for something that has been deleted from the scene. There's at least 2 classes of that type of bug. Well, let me commit this real quick. That I have seen. Gosh, that was so simple. I was racking my brains on that yesterday. Fix auto start bug from was trying to fix this yesterday for an hour and couldn't think of a solution, and then slept on it, and now I solved it in 5 minutes. Easy peasy. Yeah, like if you do like object.queueFree, and then somewhere else in your code in the same frame, if you try to access that object, it may not work because the object has been scheduled for deletion. So some things will fail. It's still kind of there, and it's about to be deleted, but it hasn't been deleted yet, and you'll run into weird bugs. So you just have to be careful if you think you might have that situation, to check if the object that you're about to access is actually a valid instance. And there's some functions for doing that. One is called isValidInstance. Is instance valid? You can also use the weakref stuff to do something like this. What is it? Something like that. Something like that. I can't remember the pattern exactly. But you can look up weakref in queueFree in the documentation, and they talk about this kind of stuff. There's also an issue where if you what's the pattern? If you yield for some signal in your object, and then you have more code here, right? So I'm doing some code, I yield, and then I do some more code, right? If between the time when the yield comes back, this object is deleted. So if some other code deletes this object before the yield returns, then you'll get an error. And the crazy one about that is that the game doesn't know, it doesn't tell you where the crash happened, or at least it didn't a couple of months ago. I ended up ripping out most of the yields that I have in my code because of that. Because I was just getting strange crashing bugs with no clue what was causing them. If game player equals... So that one's actually interesting. Let me show you that. Game player equals null. Because you'll see, this looks like just a variable access, but it's not. I have a get player. So when you access player, this player variable, you're actually calling this function. And that function this variable is actually a weak reference. So when you set the player variable, it sets the player variable to a weak reference to that thing. And then, which is a way of maintaining a reference that doesn't increase the garbage count, like the reference counter, so that if it's freed, this won't hold it, right? If it can be freed from memory, this won't hold it in memory. It just holds a weak reference to it. So when I set the player variable, I set a weak reference. And when I get it, I convert the weak reference back into the actual object. But only if it can get the reference, only if it's real. So these functions are pretty safe to use in the way I used, because it'll always either return null or the actual object, because it's doing all that checking. Yeah, me too. I try to avoid yields. I have them in a couple places still, but it's very, very rare. I was using them all over the place, and there was just tons of bugs. Yep. I agree with you, Game Endeavor. Sir Waffle 007. I thought I was using the new Godot tag. By the way, everybody, if you didn't know, there is a new Godot engine tag. And let me post a link. It's super cool. They just added it yesterday. And that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to stream today. It's because I wanted to use it. Yeah, paste this in the chat. Godot engine tag. Oh, whoops. That's the wrong. Godot engine tag. There we go. Hey, Scooter. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah, Twitch's UI is terrible. I don't think it shows you the tags on the actual stream on the desktop at all. And I think on mobile it doesn't show it to you during the live stream, but it might show it to you when it's a video on demand, or I don't know. It is tagged. I mean, you can see that I'm showing up in the listing. There are a grand total of 4 of us live streamers right now using the Godot engine tag. We're about to take over the whole world. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's like a caching weird, I don't know, some weirdness. Anyway, yeah, it's very cool that they added that. And then someone told me last stream that there's we were streaming in science and technology, but now there's a software and game development category as well, which is more appropriate. So it's like game development streaming is becoming more popular or something. And so they finally added the correct category for us. Yeah, it's cool. I dig it. I dig it. All right. I'm trying to look at my to-do list again. So, fixed. Hidden areas I'm considering done. I added a sound effect for it. I don't know if I showed you guys the sound effect, but let me show it to you right now. And I can get your opinion. Let me know what you think. Yeah, so hidden areas. I think, well, I don't know. I think I still need to do something here to give the player a clue that these walls aren't real. But if they're damaged or hit or bumped into, they disappear. They're like holograms. And it reveals a secret area. So in the level editor, oh no, I did add a clue. So if you look closely, you can see how these walls are in the same, they use the same texture, it's in the same global space in the world, right? Same with this guy, right? They match up. But these don't. Put that back. These don't match, see? So that's your clue. That's the clue to the player that there's something wonky about these walls. They're not in the same global coordinate space as the other walls. If you're flying by, you could miss it. Right? But if you look closely, you see, oh look, that's a mismatch. There's a mismatch. And you go, that's a fake wall. And you can go get your prize, whatever it is. The sound effect is, I think it's just one sound effect, and I have a stream audio player. I forget what it's called. A random pitch stream audio player. So it plays a random version of it each time. And then the hologram is a shader that I had already written for something else. It's the ghost hologram shader that I use in the level editor. And then I literally just shake the coordinates of the thing as it's fading out. Pretty simple. So like, see, it's that shader. I just repurposed it for these hologram walls. How did I get out? Yeah, that's cool. I was happy with that. Right, back to the to-do list. Reflective mirror ice walls. I need to add a shader to allow player to show player the reflective wall. So this is another issue where I need some sort of player feedback. I think this wall. You know, I'm gonna delete all this stuff. And I'm gonna do that. All right. So I've got a wall here, regular old wall. But now if I go in and make it reflective, right? The trouble is the player doesn't know, right? You don't know it's reflective until you shoot it. And that might be okay. It might make the player a little more cautious about just randomly flying into a cave and just start blasting things. But it also seems a little unfair because, like, let's say there's a fuel station here. Right? And then you just go in here blasting. Whoops. That's not fair. Dang it, I needed that fuel. And I just blew it up. So I would like, I think, something on this guy when it's reflective to let you know that it's reflective before you shoot it. And I don't know what that is yet. Yeah, the box select came in handy. Indeed. Yeah, different border, some kind of sparkles, you know, something just to let people know this wall's different than the other walls. Right, these absorb your bullets, and these reflect your bullets. Why did they slow down? Do I have friction on these walls? I don't think I should. No, it's just a weird restart bug. Well, let's see. I could do a border. Where do I draw the border for these things? Is it here? Polyline, polygon. What are these drawing? Oh. So this draws a polyline all the way around, but it doesn't connect the last, the first edge and the last edge. It doesn't close it. This closes it. So I could change the color. Maybe something like that would be simple enough. How come that didn't change anything? Oh. It's this. C equals color. Something like that. Right, so I could do something gross like that. I said gross. That must mean I don't like it. Oh boy. Hey, thank you for the follow. I don't know, it's not so bad. Do I want this to be subtle? I don't think so. I think I want it to be very obvious that this is a reflective wall. I almost would like it to look glossy, shiny, smooth, even. Like if something has been polished, it has kind of a sheen to it. I think that would require some kind of new shader, though. And, oh God, like there could be like a flash, like of light going whoosh, shining across it, and that would just happen every once in a while. But that might be confusing. I think I just have to try and see. I'm trying to think how I would write that shader. I don't know. I think, can I have multiple shaders on one thing? I think that's possible. Yeah. So I've got my main material with the shader. Maybe not. Sorry, I'm going back to the comments here. Different border or a glossiness effect would be cool. Right, reflecting some light that moves with the camera is kind of what I'm thinking. Photoshop solar flare is always the answer. Yes, that is true. I remember I used to use the lens flare filter in Photoshop all the time. Maybe that's why I'm being punished now. Karma, graphics karma. Hippo the Legend, what are you working on today? Well, I was fixing bugs, and now I'm trying to figure out some way to broadcast to the player that this wall is reflective, and this wall is not reflective. So this wall here absorbs my bullets, and this wall reflects my bullets. But the player can't tell unless he shoots them. Or she shoots them. So if the player shoots these walls, I want her to know that the bullets are going to bounce before they unload their cannon on it, because you might have civilian casualties or friendly fire situation that they want to avoid. So we're trying to figure out what's a good way to graphically show that to people. White border looks fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could work. Glossy shader on the border, maybe. A series of lines across the UV, maybe. Composite 2 textures, multiple passes. Yeah. Maybe. All of those. I did start, right, by saying, look, let's pass in a parameter to the shader to let us know that it's reflective. So in here, right, there's a uniform. And in here, I think I set it somewhere. How come you're not letting me search in here? Right, so this sets the shader material with this reflective uniform, or it sets the reflective uniform on the shader with that reflective property. There it is. Do something fancy. This has passed me writing checks that I can't cash. Well, let's see. Let's take a stab at it, shall we? You guys up for a little shader programming? Oops. So, something fancy. Let's just go simple. Let's start with this. Well, how come that was an error? Because it's got to be a float. Shaders are finicky like that. So this just takes the red channel out of the art. If I change that to a ice, doesn't change. I could do, what if I did, where's my shader? C.RGB. Just amp up those colors a little bit. Change this one to icy, and then, so you see it's kind of, it's this blue, but if I make it reflective, it gets brighter. I don't know. In isolation, that might be, might be too subtle. Whoa. I think I like the idea of having a shimmer go across it every once in a while, and to do that, yeah, it's too subtle. To do that, I think I need another texture. Maybe I wouldn't need another texture. God, that sounds like so much math. I'm just trying to think in my head, like, if I had a texture with like a white stripe on it, maybe at an angle, and I just move that white stripe across the the whole texture, the face of the wall, then I have a timing issue because some walls are very large and some are very small. And I want it to move appropriately depending on the size, but because these things can have weird shapes, it seems like there's going to be a lot of fine-tuning. Yeah, there might be, well, but do I need it to go at a different speed? Yeah, I don't know, I'd still need to take into account the size of it, because if I'm just going, because regardless of the size of the thing, the UV coordinates are going to be the same, 0 to 1. And so if I move everything along with the UV coordinates by time alone, then for very small objects, it'll go by much faster than for very large objects. It'll go by very slowly. Or reverse that. For very small objects, it'll go by very slowly, and for very big objects, it'll go by very quickly. So I'll need to do some math to adjust the time interval. I kind of just don't want to do that. Right, dividing it by the size. But the trouble is screen UV. Screen UV. Huh. Maybe. Because the screen UV would be smaller for small things and bigger for big things. That might work. I'm really not very good at shader programming. I know a little bit about manipulating UVs and changing colors, but you know, this effect I've never done anything like it before, so I'm a little lost where to start. I think I would need a texture of the graphic that I want to use for the reflection. Let's maybe start there. I think I need a texture of the graphic. So let's see. And I want to make that big. I want to make it like screen size if I'm going to use screen UVs. What is my screen size? Is it 360? I think. Man, I can't remember what resolution my game is at. Yeah, 640 by 360. I did remember. All right, so I want to do something like something like that. All right, so that would be my texture. Let's make it thick. Just so we don't miss it. And then we'll put that into walls, textures, shiny flash. All right, so I've got my texture. So now I need a uniform for that texture. And we'll call it reflect text. That. Right, and I save that, and I have it here, and I can load that like this. So now I've got access to my reflective texture. If reflective, let's see, vec4 equals texture, reflective texture, maybe? Expected identifier, oh. And then I can say C, no. Plus. Yeah. Maybe? Maybe that'll work? Okay. See, because it's in the screen UV, it moves around, it's on the screen. How clever is that? It's kind of weird that it's going it's like flipped. And so what I'm doing here is I'm adding this texture that I just drew, multiplying it by the alpha channel of the object, so that way it doesn't bleed through to the outside of that object, and then just adding that to the RGB value that I've already found. I could even do something like that and make it partially, I'll have to reload, make it partially, yeah, see? That's kind of cool. Okay, we're onto something. We are onto something. And then I can do an offset on this thing. And then that offset is going to be, nope. Nope. It's going to be 0 and some maybe something like that. How come I'm not seeing it? Maybe let's do this. I think my math is wrong. Let's call this flash UV or reflect UV. Reflect UV equals screen UV, and then reflect UV dot y plus equals something like that. See what that does. Yeah, kinda. Oh, you see this here? This line there? I was pointing at my screen like a fool. This line there is because the texture isn't, it doesn't wrap. So I can fix that by going into here, textures, shiny flash, import, repeat enabled, re-import. I think there's still going to be a weird thingy there. Yeah, so it doesn't quite match. Because I didn't draw it right. It doesn't match. But I've got it moving. Kind of like that in principle. Let me check the comments here. It's been a while since I checked. Sorry for ignoring you guys. Shadow Wolf. If you use the screen UV, everyone would shiver all at once and look neat, maybe. I agree. Yeah. And Saint Chepulus. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Offset by time, maybe. Yes. The wall texture is also set by the shader. Yes. Yep. Out of bounds. Yep. Scooter, have you considered making the portion of the shader a variable in the object script and use if statements and then simply add the value to the shader rather than having the if statements in the shader? Yeah, maybe. And in fact, I think there's a way to write the shader without the if statements. I'm sure there is. Like, secret is just a, what is it? It's a bool. But I could make secret a float, and it's either 0 or 1. And then just do this by multiplying by secret, right? UV plus equals vec 0.3 times secret. And if secret is 1, then it adds it. And if it's not 1, if it's 0, then it still adds it, but it's 0. And then I wouldn't need this if at all. And I think I can do a similar thing with this by making reflective 0 or 1, and then I can get rid of that if statement as well. I've read that if statements are bad in shaders, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. My game's so small, I don't think the graphics card cares. I like the brighter the color of the wall. Offset the reflection vertically. The brighter the color of the wall, offset the reflection vertically. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see. Times C.R. Let's see. That's kind of cute. I think. I wish the shader editor was here. I wish I could edit shaders here instead of in this weird tab. Oops. Yeah, man, that's kind of cool, actually. All right. All right. I think we're getting somewhere. Let's see. Let me redraw this. Let's do this, and do this, and do this. And in fact, let's do this. And does this wrap? How do I do this? Tiled mode. Why? Yeah, that would work. Let's see, what if I did that and that? Yeah, let's try that. So I don't like the sine wave because I don't want it going back and forth like that. But I think maybe what if I removed that actually? I can remove this, and with the extra complexity in the texture itself, maybe I don't need it because the player's always moving. It looks a little artificial. I could also, though, I could offset it by the player position because I have that in the shader as well. I've got the camera position. So I could do reflect UV that. Yeah, that moves it pretty wild. Camera position adds a lot. Times it's so weird to me that it's flipped like that. But now it's not doing this bit. Or was I doing that? So I do still want this, but maybe not with the time. Let's do time times 0.1 plus. I'm just doing crazy math and seeing what happens. So now, if I'm sitting still, it's still kind of doing something with the time variable. But if I move around, it changes, right, depending on how I move my mouse cursor around. I mean, that definitely is not subtle. It's cool. It's almost there. I think I need to look at some actual glass or crystals or something and see how those reflections work. I do like the way it changes based on the underlying color, how it doesn't quite match. It makes it look like it's faceted, or see right there? makes it look like it's faceted or different, you know, like levels. Makes it seem bumpy in a way. Yeah, I think I just need to play around with the texture now and see what looks good. And I could even play around with different colors in the texture as well. It doesn't have to be just white. I could make some gray and some blue. And in the shader, it's just adding this color, right? But I could do other things with this color as well. I could multiply this color instead of adding it. I could multiply, I could divide the color. Look at that. I think that turned out weird because in some cases I'm dividing by 0. If I multiplied. That's pretty groovy. Yeah, so there's a lot of different things I can do with the math here. I could even do, like, I could take this color yeah. Okay, so I think I'm on the right track. I'm starting to do something fancy. So now I can say do something even more fancy. Yeah. All right, let's check the chat. I wonder if there's a way to test the if statement hypothesis with Godot. Well, I mean, I think it is true. If you use an if statement, it's going to be slower because the whole idea behind shaders is that they all, you know, you're working on a million pixels at once, and so you've got a million CPUs all running the exact same code. And there's ways that the CPUs can optimize that if they're all exactly the same. That's why uniforms are uniform. They're the same for all the input variables are the same for every CPU on the graphics chip, on the graphics card. But when you start introducing branches, then some of the code on some CPUs is doing something different, perhaps, than code on other CPUs. They're not all the same now, and so it's going to be slower. The branching is slow. Math is fast. The branching is theoretically slow. And that's just graphics hardware stuff. So I think you could, look at the frame rates. And if you took out the if statements, the frame rate might go up or down a little bit. But it's going to be very dependent on the size of the screen, the textures on the screen, what the shader's doing, what else your game is doing. And I think in a game like mine, maybe it has, some cost to it, but the frame rate in this game is ridiculous because it's so small. 1100 frames per second. So even if there was a 200 frame per second cost to this if statement, I don't care. It doesn't matter. And I don't think it would be as high as 200 frames per second. I think it's going to be somewhere in the range of, like, if I took out the if statements, it might give me 1 or 2 frames per second. Maybe. Which, it's 1,000 frames per second. I don't care. So I'm not worried about it. But that's not true for everybody's game, everybody's shader, everybody's textures. Yours is going to be different, so Don't do as I do. I mean, my philosophy is always make it work, make it pretty, make it fast, in that order. So I made it work, and now I'm working on making it pretty. And if it needs it, I'll make it fast. But if it doesn't, I just skip that step. Because if it's fast enough already, who cares? Maybe if I was developing this for mobile and people on mobile devices were complaining because it was killing their battery, I might care. But I probably wouldn't. And I'm not anyway, so. Yeah, new Godot engine tag. Hey, Tom. Welcome. Tixieland. Fun math shader playground. That's cool. I'll have to check that out. Definitely getting there. Thank you. Photoshop-like blending modes are interacting. The compositing software Nuke used to write the maths formula for each blending mode in the tooltips. Probably can find those in their docs. Yeah. Hey, Grusset. What do you prefer, having customers buy your game on itch or Steam? You know, I don't have a preference. It's up to you, really. If you want to buy the game, I'm grateful, whether it's on Steam or itch. I mean, itch, I get a better cut on itch. I think I get 90% on itch and I get 70% on Steam. But that said, me personally, I prefer to buy games on Steam when I can. I'm a bad indie developer. I prefer to buy games on Steam just because it's easier. You know, most of my other games are in Steam. Itch has an okay client, you know, and I like it, but I mean, most of my games are in Steam, and I don't like having two places where my games are. If you know what I mean. That's how lazy I am. That I would avoid I avoid virtual entanglements I don't need to get into. That's how lazy I am. Do what your heart feels like you should do. Shader profiler would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice, actually. And then the profiler built into Godot, I appreciate that it's here, but this needs some work because it is difficult to use. It has helped me, and then other times I'm searching through the list of calls and I can't find anything that I think should be there. Or like there's a huge spike in the frame rate and I look through the calls and there's nothing causing it. Or you're just trying to click on that one spike and you can't. You have to go frame by frame by frame to find the spike, and you can't zoom or anything. This could be better. I appreciate that it's here, but it could definitely be better. And a shader profiler would be handy as well. I think there's a technical limitation with that though. I think profiling stuff in the shader CPUs is impossible or difficult at best. I mean, I would love to be able to just put a breakpoint in a shader and just look at the values of these variables, and you can't really. You can't save anything out. You can't print anything from here. So it's very difficult to debug shaders. I think that whole experience could be better in some way, but I don't know how. I'm not smart enough to know how. I do like Itch's library. I do as well. I mean, they just have a lot of games that they don't have anywhere else, you know. I'm on Itch just about every day. I love Itch, but you know, I don't buy a lot of games there. Oh wow, 1,000 games, and you have to add each one manually. Yeah, that's no good. Compiles the shaders on the fly. I thought shader compilation happened only when you started the game. Render doc. I don't know. I don't know what render doc is. I've never heard of it before. Is that like a shader helper thingy? Graphics debugger. Free MIT licensed standalone graphics debugger that allows quick and easy single frame capture and detailed introspection of any application. Oh, hello. Yeah, no, this would be cool. Yeah, so put this here. Shader tab. Something like that. That's cool. Yeah, a lot of times, like the main use case I have for doing this stuff is I just want to look at, so I'm looking at a shader here, right? I want to look at what this color is right now. I want to see it. And I can't. Yeah, that's cool. Just being able to see what the potential output of this function is, what this is going to be, would be handy. Neat. Render doc works. I use it all the time. Run it standalone. Huh. Okay. Run a game and then run the standalone render doc to capture and then analyze the passes. That's cool. I might try that. I might not. I mean, my shaders are pretty small. This is 40 lines. It's not that big a deal. Plus, I'm nearly done with it anyway. So, I mean, maybe if the opportunity arises where I'm like, God, I wish I could debug this thing, then I will do my best to remember that render doc is a thing that exists. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, so I think we've made some good progress here. I gotta go, guys. So thanks for dropping in today. We accomplished a lot. I appreciate everybody's help. And if you don't know the game, please go check out gravityace.com. There are links there to all the things. And, YouTube channel, Discord, come say hi. The game's in early access now. Tell all your friends. And I will see you all again next time. Hopefully in less than a week this time. I'm thinking of streaming again on maybe Thursday morning or Saturday morning. So I will see you guys again then. And meanwhile, have a good one, everybody. Thanks for dropping in.